and welcome to Talking with Talent. Today I'm joined by Mr. Conor Boru. How you doing, mate?
All good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, very well, man. Thank you so much for jumping on today. So, to anyone who doesn't know Conor's an actor, director. You've also been producer, written a few bits as well. You're a man of many talents. So let's take it all the way back. So, before you went through education, that sort of stuff, where did the passion for acting start?
Well, it's a good question. I think I've always, it's the cliche answer. I think I've always kind of wanted to do it, from a young age. It's always been something I've been interested in, always thought about doing. I remember getting to about the age of 15 and thinking like I was past it. I was too old to do it, which looking back seems a bit ridiculous. And it just sort of, I felt like there was a part of me that was hesitating. I was going to go to college and do construction. And I remember flicking through the brochures, like just looking and thinking, I'm just not inspired by this in any way. And I saw the film and TV course and I was like, that's the stuff I want to be doing, So it's kind of been a slow evolution. I think I fought it for a while, but I've always wanted to do it. I've always wanted to create, whether it was making films or acting, to be honest, or writing.
Do you think that, I mean, maybe this is going a bit deep as well, but I often find that when you sort of talk to people, younger children that are interested in acting, especially guys as well, it has more cliche and a stigma when you're younger of being the masculine thing to do, the macho thing too. Do you think that's something that held you back at some point?
I think it probably did, to be honest. Yeah, the area I grew up, it wasn't really the done thing. I didn't really know anyone else who was into it. It's more football and boxing and those kind of macho things, which I did like as well. So I was torn because I did enjoy playing football. I remember one of the hardest decisions at school was, when you had to pick your options.
Yeah.
School, you couldn't do PE and drama for some reason, the way I balanced it. And I picked PE. So I wanted to go and play football with my friends. And I should have done drama. I should have been true to myself. But yeah, you change, as you get older, a bit more mature, and you start to think, you're going to do what's right for you. You start to care less about what your friends think. And those stereotypes were very much true. I remember looking at my list when I went to drama school, and we had to wear, a leotard to we had to wear a leotard to do one of our classes, and we had to sing and do all these things that I was really uncomfortable with at the time. I wanted to be like a screen actor, like whoever. Yeah. And, you just do these things. You push yourself past the worries and the insecurities, and you just get on with it. And then you realize, actually, why was I worried in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel that acting is one of those things that really does push you to just stop caring about what other people think more than any other path I can think of. Because like you said, those sort of things have the stigma at the start. You think, oh, I'm embarrassed to do this, but you can't walk onto set and have that defense up. You've got to be vulnerable and open yourself. So it's interesting how it really pushes you beyond and to sort of become yourself a bit earlier or a bit sooner than perhaps you would usually.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not there 100% yet. It still takes time. I remember at drama school again, it was like there was definitely a lot of walls up at the start, and it wasn't just me. It was a lot of the lads, to be honest. It was, there's something scary about being vulnerable, especially in front of people. It's easy. Everyone, all the guys really gravitate towards it's easy to do the really aggressive or the cool stuff, When it comes to the more intimate and sort of emotional side, guys can put barriers up a bit.
Absolutely. So we discussed obviously there your education as well. So I saw that you went to Southampton Solent for your degree there as well. And then you went to ArtsEd as well for your master's. Now, so I've not been to drama school or anything like that. How would you describe it to someone that's never been?
Well, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity. Just it's definitely not necessary, but it's certainly an amazing opportunity to just act every day. I mean, I've certainly never experienced that before or after. You're in every day, 5 days a week. It wasn't like uni either, which I thought maybe it would be, which was like, a lecture here, a lecture there. You got a day off. It was like 9 or 8:30 to 5:30 every single day. And you're just getting to act. You're getting to play characters that maybe you wouldn't normally get to play because it's against your type or whatever. So it's an amazing opportunity just to act every single day. But of course, it's a massive commitment. The financial side, the time side, it's not going to be right for everyone. And you can find ways to to get that experience without going to drama school. You know, you can do lessons on the side, but it's just a chance to really work on your craft and really have that focus on it for that amount of time.
Mm. I think it was Samuel L. Jackson that said, obviously, it's not like any other career in the fact that you have to get hired. You can't go and do your job every day, unfortunately. But I guess drama school gives you the opportunity to really,
Yeah.
spend 3-4 years having fun and playing and experimenting and finding, like you say, getting past some of those barriers and insecurities.
100%. I mean, because you have so much time, I think a lot of drama schools do go around the sort of slower way around things. You can really take your time, and maybe there are faster ways of doing things at points. I did an MA, so it was only 1 year, so it was quite jam packed. We sort of had to squeeze in the whole BA 3-year course into 1 year, because you still went the same sort of steps. But it's a great opportunity if you get a chance. Obviously, make sure you pick the right drama school for you. Art Said for me was just a wonderful place. Such a great energy, felt very comfortable there. I've heard a lot of horror stories about drama school. I can't talk about them because I've never been, but I know a lot of people hear the name, the reputation, and they go somewhere and, they're miserable. So they just do your research as well and just trust your gut about where you feel comfortable, and not in a comfortable way as in, I don't want to push myself, but just the way of, this feels like a good place where I'm going to learn. I'm not going to be sort of bullied or made to feel a certain way.
So you say anyone that's looking and trying to decide between, it's all about the feel for you. That was the best way.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I only auditioned for Art Said. I wasn't planning on doing it.
Oh.
Yeah, I had no horror stories. I literally, it was one of the only courses that was still accepting people. So I was like, I wanted to do some acting classes. I thought, I've been doing some acting at Southampton. I've been in a load of student films. I thought, why don't I give this acting a bit more, take it a little bit more seriously, do some classes. I saw the MA and I thought, why not? And I sort of just kind of got lucky, I guess, and just managed to get in. I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. My monologues were terrible. But then when I was speaking to other people, and there was this whole system of auditioning, and they've been to like 8 drama schools and stuff, and it's like, they all said Art Said was lovely, and they had some horror stories. So I kind of managed to swerve that one a little bit.
Nice. And what was that feeling like the day after you graduated, and all of a sudden you had that years of security, and all of a sudden you're now in the world, and it's very different
from Art Said? Yeah, it's a challenging time after that. We had a showcase where all the agents come and you go into a theater and you do a couple, a scene with a partner, and they come with their notepads and they're taking notes. And it's quite a weird time because some people are getting calls from agents, some aren't. Some get signed with agents, some are, in discussions and it doesn't work out for some reason. So it was a strange time, but I felt very blessed because I've always had a really strong team from drama school. There's a group of us, and we immediately threw ourselves into making our own work. Yeah. We sort of decided before graduating that we weren't gonna have this dip where we're just suddenly not acting. We're all separated. We thought straight away, let's hit the ground running and start making our own scenes, short films, show reels, and that's what we did. So it kind of distracted us from the business stuff. We had that going on in the background and we were still trying to get agents, but we could focus on something more positive.
Well, that seems like a great way to do it as well. Transitioning in that sort of way, it gives you a smooth transition. Like I say, keeps you busy and you're always making stuff, which especially as a creative and someone in this industry, it's a lot easier or not necessarily easier, but sometimes you've got to make your own stuff because you might not get a job for 6 months. That's just the way it is, unfortunately.
That is the reality.
Now, you said obviously you experienced a lot of people getting agents and that sort of stuff. Was there ever elements of jealousy or sort of envy at that point? I mean, it's only a natural human reaction to sort of look at other people and go, "Oh, we've been doing the same course." Was there anything like that, or?
I mean, I was at the time. I felt lucky because I had a few offers from agents, so I didn't feel jealous. I mean, I certainly could have at the time. I guess if I was getting no calls and everyone else was, I might have felt that. But it's funny, man. Some people didn't get calls from Showcase, and then they waited, 6 months, a year, and they got a great agent. They started doing really well. Other people got agents straight away, and the agent didn't do anything for them anyway. It's a long game, isn't it? And sometimes it's going to work out straight away. Some people start really strong and have these dips, and other people take a little longer to sort of break in. But I don't remember being jealous, but I just remember feeling like I really want everyone to really stick together as a group, as a unit.
Mm.
And it wasn't the whole year. There was 30 of us, but there was like 8 or so of us that were like a real tight group. And I found there was power in that. You know, together we could do a lot more than we could individually,
Mm.
and we could put on our own theatre show. We could make shorts. We could even make a feature film. You know.
Mm.
So I always had that sort of security blanket. I felt, which took the pressure off. Which I felt was really good because it's so easy to get swept into the whole agent game. So many actors do it. I mean, I've done it as well. You do. You see someone with a really great agent, they're getting all these great auditions, and you just start thinking, that's what I want. That's where I've got to get. And you forget that that is important, but there's also a lot more you can do yourself whilst you're pursuing that, you know?
Mm, absolutely. So you probably won't know the figures off the top of your head, but in out of your class there, you said it was about 30 people. How
Yeah.
many people are still acting? Because I know that's one of those things that a lot of people go to, they study drama and that sort of thing, and then after a couple of tough years, all of a sudden it's just falling off, or just perhaps choosing a different path.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers.
Yeah.
I would say half are probably acting. There's some that are still acting, but they're doing slightly different things. As in, I know some have started drama schools, for example, for kids. As an example, I know some teach drama now. I know in other years on the same course where I knew various people from different years, like after us, and they're like voice teachers and various things. So they've sort of stayed in the industry. A few have sort of gone more into the directing route as well. Um, so yeah, a lot of people got a lot of value out of it, and I'd say even the ones that have given up as a career, a lot of them are still into it. They still do it on the side, or they still got a passion for it, but maybe just financially they were like, I got to make myself some money, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So at the top of the show, I mentioned actor, director. You've been a producer. You've done some bits of writing. You've done some motion capture as well, which I'm really interested to speak about. Um, how would you list yourself sort of in priority? Would you say you're an actor that directs, or a director that likes to act, or?
Um, I definitely fluctuate between the two, if I'm honest. It's definitely acting and directing are
Yeah.
my main passions, I would say. It's just they're so different. I find they do inform each other. It's, if you're an actor and you direct, it really helps your acting, I would say, and vice versa. But acting it's like you get to be the kid. You get to show up. And I'm not saying it's not hard. I'm not taking anything away from anyone. It can be really challenging and really tough, but you show up and it's fun. You're part of the team. Sorry if you hear that weird noise. I'm at we're isolating at my girlfriend's dad's place in Hampshire because we're living in Camden, and he's got peacocks. He was a really eccentric guy.
Nice.
He got himself some peacocks. So if you hear some weird bird sounds, that's what it is. Oh, gee, I knew they were going to start going crazy. It's mating season. Um, what was I saying? I was acting, yeah.
Acting,
So,
directing, yeah.
acting for me, you get to be the kid. I find it really fun and enjoyable. Directing is like you're the parent. You're in charge. You're responsible. Everyone else is having lunch and messing around and laughing and joking, and you're sort of hurrying out the next shots and everything else. So in an ideal world, I would act and direct, which I kind of am doing at the moment. Because I think there's only so much you can direct because it takes it out of you, especially in an indie film when you're wearing a lot of hats. It's great to do a film, do a bit of acting for a while, and then you can be working on other projects, come back and direct something. So I'd like to keep the two in tandem as much as I can.
Nice. And you say obviously the stress there, and you're always thinking and always working. Is that a good stress, or is that one of those stresses that, like I say, over time does wear you down a little bit?
I mean, it's a good stress in one way. Like, there's definitely, a buzz, an adrenaline buzz you get from it. It's definitely it pushes you in a good way, but it can be stressful. There's no two ways about it. If you're not careful, you can burn out. If you're working, 18 hours a day back to back for a long period of time, and you're constantly thinking about this film. I've not really experienced it to the same level because before this I'd done short films, and obviously there's a lot of similarities. It's just the length of time is the difference, you know. You can sort of go hard for 3 or 4 days on a shoot on a short and you're done, but with a feature it's that bit longer.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge.
I mean, let's talk about that now. So you've wrapped up your first feature as a director.
Yeah.
How's it been overall? And tell people about the project as well.
Right, yeah. So we've just wrapped our first feature. It's called When the Screaming Starts. It's a mockumentary about an aspiring serial killer, and it's also about the documentary filmmaker following the journey. Again, it's made from the group from drama school. We all have stayed in touch. I think we graduated like 7 years ago now, maybe more. We've stayed in touch. We've always worked together. We've created loads of shorts together, and we sort of made this feature as our first collaboration on that scale. You know, this is the first thing that we're making where we've had to reach out of our smaller circle for funding and stuff like that. You know, we've had to really pull every resource that we have between us to make this a reality. We're currently in post, so we shot in January, and we're currently in the edit. It's going pretty well. Got a couple other small bits we want to pick up, a couple not reshoots, but pickups. We want to add a few extra scenes in. But obviously, this whole Corona situation has just delayed everything. So for now, we're just working on the edit, and we'll take it from there, really.
I think you touched something very important there as well. Is, you know, like we said, you know, directing and acting obviously gets a lot of the attention from sort of the outside, but trying to get funding and getting all these different resources in. I mean, have you sort of gone to companies and tried to pitch and got funding that way, or is it through different avenues? What's the process there?
Well, I had a different feature film that I'd written that I was trying to get made. It was only when Ed Hartland, who's an actor and a writer, he presented me with the script, and I thought, this, because it was a mockumentary, this script I really felt like we could make ourselves without funding. And it started off quite small, like the budget wasn't anything huge. I thought we could actually self-fund this. We've got the resources, we've got the locations, we know so many actors. So that's how it started, and that's why we chose this project as well, was because it was one that we had power over to do. It wasn't waiting for someone to green light us, because what we found was it's hard to even get someone to read your script. You could be sitting on the next Pulp Fiction or fill in the blank of, you know, best indie film ever. It's hard to get someone. They're bombarded every single day with scripts, and they might not even look at your script. So I feel like the more you can do beforehand to put yourself in a position where people are going to take a look at your projects, the better, you know. Make the film that you can make now, essentially. So that's why we picked this film. The budget did then grow and grow and grow. You know, it was like, okay, we can do this way. And then we're like, oh, but wouldn't it be great to get this location? And wouldn't it be great to shoot on this camera? And it did grow, but we kept it very modest for a feature film. You know, we built up a lot of connections in the industry over time. Like the cameraman, the DP, Adrian Musto, we've been working with him for 6 years on shorts, and you know, he came in and he's now doing huge things for Netflix and Nat Geographic and all sorts. And you know, he came on board and worked for a fraction of his rate just because we've built up those connections over time, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was definitely a business sense to it as well. It was, we can actually make this film for a low budget. It was realistic at the time.
Absolutely. Now, there's people that, you know, a lot of people watching won't have ever set foot on a film set.
Right.
What, like, when you're doing that feature, you know, tell people about the time frame and what your day generally consists of.
So, I mean, again, this is an indie film. If you're Spielberg, you don't have to worry about a lot of the things, but we wore so many hats, you know. We tried to keep the costs down, and we've got, you know, between me and, you know, Ed Hartland was the writer, but he was a producer as well, and Jared Rogers, who was one of the lead actors as well, and the producer. We did so much of the pre-production ourselves. We even, you know, we picked the costumes. We had to source locations. We had to organize schedules, like what day you're going to shoot, and you don't always shoot in a linear way. It's dependent on locations and actors' availability. We had to do the casting. We did pretty much everything, and then we got a bigger team in, and a lot of friends came and chipped in various ways. But you just for this, I will say I found myself doing more producing in the pre-production stage than I would like, because it did slightly take away from my ability to be able to focus on my vision, as a director. Like,
Yeah.
I got to spend time and really immerse myself in the world and watch loads of other mockumentaries and documentaries, but I just found myself on the phone every single day, all day, like calling people, sorting stuff out, man. But it was worth it, it's got to be done. Someone's got to do it, and
Yeah.
no one else is going to care about the project as much as you are.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, we've touched on acting director, how different they are, and how you like to do both. Would you ever consider doing both in the same project?
I have done.
Yeah. How did
I
that
have.
go?
It is tough. It's definitely doable. You got to have the right team around you, because when things are going smoothly, I didn't find it that hard. It's a relaxed atmosphere, so you can talk about a shot and you can jump in front of the camera. I had our first AD, Sam Blythe. We're about the same height, so he'd stand in for me, and then I'd like talk about the shot with the DP, and then I'll just jump in and do my thing, and it wasn't too stressful, because again, the group would keep an eye on the acting. They would say, maybe that was, maybe bring that down a bit, maybe bring that up a bit, or whatever it may be. When it gets really stressful, which it often does on a film set, when the time is running out, you've got like 10 minutes left and you've got to get 3 shots and you don't know exactly what the best way to do it is, that's when it becomes really challenging, because it's hard to go and act and be in the moment when you're thinking, oh shit, I've still got that to do. How am I going to do this? And what's going to happen? How's it going to cut together? So it's definitely doable, but you've got to have the right team. You've got to do as much preparation as possible. Much preparation in the pre-production phase, know what shots you're going for, know the teams there, know you've got a good DP you can trust. If the shit hits the fan, they're going to be on the visual side. Hold their hand through it. So it's a challenge. I'll put it that way. It is a challenge. I didn't give myself a role in the feature, actually, because it felt like at the time I got bigger fish to fry. I don't have time to jump on camera because we had like 10 pages. I don't know if you know much about the sort of shooting page shows, but we were getting through like 10, 12 pages some days. So,
jeez, that is a long day.
Yeah. We had a lot to get through.
Absolutely. So you've worked on quite a few bits. Obviously, you said, when you came out, you were doing a lot of shorts and that sort of thing, and trying to keep the group together and just keep creating content. Now, obviously, you have worked on some a lot bigger stuff. I've seen Hulk Dark on Netflix as well, and Kill Kane with Vinnie Jones and that sort of thing. Was it a bit of a shock when you sort of went from short films to all of a sudden being a bit more on bigger production, or did you transition quite slowly?
It wasn't a shock, because I actually, before I even went to drama school, I did some extra work. So I did quite a lot, actually, and I got to go on a lot of big sets, huge sets, huge directors, A-list casts. So that gave me a real insight into it. And I was really shocked, actually, when I went to drama school, that there was this real sort of snobbery towards extra work.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, extra, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do extras. No way, I'm an actor. And it's like, okay, look, if you've been to drama school and you're trained, maybe don't do extra work. But certainly before that, what a great way to get an amazing insight. You're on set. You're getting to watch amazing actors, the best actors, potentially, depending on what you're on. Not every job is like this, but if you're you're in a Hollywood film set and you're watching Brad Pitt do his thing, and you're watching Tim Burton directing Johnny Depp, and it's like, how much are you going to learn doing that as a director or an actor? And you're getting paid. You're paid to do that. So I would recommend extra work to anyone who's looking to get an insight into the industry. But my point was that by the time I got on a few bigger sets as an actor, I felt a lot more comfortable there because I'd been there so much before. You know, I'd been on these big sets before. It wasn't like stepping up from a tiny short and suddenly, because I've said that if you step onto a Hollywood film set and you've never been on a big film, it's a surreal scenario. It's it can be overwhelming. It's huge. The scale of it can be giant. There could be 200 people on set, cranes and lights everywhere. It's yeah.
Yeah, it's great you touched that. 'Cause that's actually my next point was talking about the extra work. So I'm glad we chatted about that because, like you said, the snobbery is quite incredible sometimes about how people do sort of look down on that, but it gives you that fantastic transition as well. Um, how does it feel when all of a sudden you're going from one of those extras to having the camera specifically on you?
Yeah, it's a good feeling. I mean, it definitely feels like you've earned your stripes.
Mhm.
It doesn't feel, but I don't feel like, oh, I'm an actor. It's like I've always felt like, you know, extras do sometimes get treated quite badly on sets. You know, um, there could be a tent for like all the crew, all the main cast, and then the extras have their own little bit, and they don't get quite as good food and quite as good whatever. I get it for financial reasons, but there is definitely a sort of they are treated the worst on the whole film set, which is still very good, by the way. But there's definitely a pecking order. Um, but yeah, I definitely felt good. I felt like I've earned this because it was not a overnight thing. You know, it took a long time, a lot of rejection, a lot of hustle, a lot of hard work. So I certainly felt like I'd earned my stripes by that point.
One thing you touched on there is the rejection as well. Obviously, it's unlike any other business. You know, you may go into an office job and you work your way up, and it's very linear progression. But like you said, with acting, it is up and down, up and down. Sometimes you have a great year, sometimes you won't. How did you deal with the rejection over the years? What was your sort of personal experience with it?
I mean, it does get to us all at times. You know, rejection is hard. It's hard in every area of life, but especially in this industry, it's such a big part of it.
Yeah.
And you just have to accept it's going to happen. And however successful and famous or whatever you want to call it, you're still going to be getting rejected a lot. And there's like 0.0001% of the actors who can just do what they want. And most of the time, that doesn't even last forever. You know, they might have their little window of time where they're in that position. So you have to make your peace with rejection. And I would say for me, it's coming back to that making your own work.
Mhm.
That certainly that certainly empowers you as an actor. You know, it's like those things become amazing bonuses when you get the role, rather than the be all and end all, the only thing that you're striving for. You know.
Absolutely. Now, so we spoke about earlier is the motion capture as well. I wanted to chat about that. I've not spoken to anyone that's done motion capture before. I noticed it was Ready Player One and then another video game as well, and a few different bits. I mean, how did you get into that?
Well, Ready Player One's actually a really funny story because I did extra work before drama school, right? As I said, I hadn't done any in years, and I actually got um, a message from one of the ADs that I'd met about this job, Ready Player One, about motion capture stuff, and it was also to teach some people this rig. I'd never done it, but to train me up to teach people. They're on this like don't know if you remember the film, if you've seen the film, but there's like this rig that all these players are in. It's like moving.
Right. Mhm.
So it's to train people up on that. And then from that, I was doing some of the training, which was a great opportunity. It was more of a, you know, I'm making money to survive more than like I'm acting or I'm in the industry or whatever. Um, and then this AD Fraser asked me if I wanted, and I was like, well, hell yeah, I do. So through doing extra work like 5 years before or 4 years before, it actually led to an opportunity for me to do some motion capture in a Steven Spielberg film, which was, you know, incredible. And then from there, because I'd done, you know, quite a big film, it kind of got me some other work with other companies doing computer games and various things. So, you know, work begets work, I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like I said, the other people I've spoken to that have done extra work as well, and
Mm.
you know, alongside acting, they've got a very similar story in the fact that people look down at it, but it gets your foot in the door and you become friendly with person X, and then they introduce you to person Y, and all of a sudden you've got a role here, and it just keeps on. It's networking at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as long as you don't go in there thinking, oh, someone's gonna spot me, and I'm gonna be like, they're gonna pull me out and give me the lead role. You know, if you go in there like that, you're probably delusional. If you're there just to learn, you're a student, and you're not trying to like fight your way to get in the, you know, I want to be in the front of the camera. You get those people doing extra work, and it's not a good attitude, you know. So just go there to learn and meet people, and you'll meet so many other people. Everyone there is an actor who's trying. Well, no, that's not true. At least like 60-70% of the people that are doing extra work are trying to be actors, or they're filmmakers, or they're, you know, creatives most of the time. So you meet a lot of great people doing it as well.
And in regards to the motion capture and those sorts of bits, the movements, everything you're doing is extremely different. Is this stuff that you would say your experience at Arts Ed and that sort of stuff helped, or how did you?
I think it definitely did help. Again, I don't think it's necessary. I think with motion capture, it's just you want to be good. You want to have physical skills. I mean, some people have got really specific ones, like dancing or certain sports. You know, that's really going to help. But also, you know, yeah, martial arts is a good one. Things like weapons training. You know, a lot of these motion capture jobs might be like a computer game where the character's walking around fighting and shooting. So if you've got experience with like handling weapons or something, that can be a great skill. It's just having some certain physical skills that maybe not everyone else can do. You know, that's what I think really helps with mocap. But then there's also the which I haven't actually done yet, which is the real facial capture stuff. That stuff, that's when they're really looking for actors as well, because they need every nuance of the face, every muscle, every look, every eyebrow twitch, you know?
Yeah.
So, I think actors are great people to do mocap.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of the time they're not, by the way. Sometimes they're not always actors. They're just physical, you know, they're just athletes and various people that are just really good with their bodies and can do fancy moves and kicks and spins and whatnot, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's, you know, having that awareness of your body and learning new skills, I guess, can be a massive part of that as well. But yeah, absolutely. Before we go, obviously, we don't really know what's happening with the world at the moment and all that sort of thing. But when can we expect the feature to be ready, realistically? That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to put a date on it right now because of this situation. I just don't know. We were hoping to have it out like probably in not released necessarily, but finished in a couple of months. But that's now it's not possible. It really depends on Corona. I'd love to have it finished before the end of the year. Like, that would be amazing. We'll just have to see, because we've got to do some more shoots. So we're in lockdown right now. So we'll see when this gets lifted.
Fantastic. Well, good luck with it. And what's the best way for people to follow the journey and get notified when the movie's ready as well?
So we're on social. I think at the moment Instagram's probably the best place. I think it's at When the Screaming Starts Film. If I'm not mistaken, it might be at When the Screaming Starts. So we're posting on there a little bit. We're on Twitter. And I think we're on Facebook. We haven't been posting much on the Facebook page. Or you could follow me as you could. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. We'll put all those links in the description as well. We'll also put your socials in there so people can get in touch with you and ask any questions. And yeah, hopefully everyone's looking forward to the film. But thank you so much for coming on today, mate.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
Much appreciated. Thank you much. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know if there's anyone you'd like to speak to soon. Take care, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.